doing 3 two-part episodes in a row. Well, 6 episodes, technically split into 3 episodes, two-parters for all of them. Definitely an exhausting disc to do because, again, I wanted to make sure I got the details well mapped out for all of them. But we are on the last two-part episode for this disc, of course. And, of course, the next disc will not have as back to singular ones until we get to the finale of season 4. The Wallet and the Watch are both like two-part episodes, but besides, they don't count the pitch and the ticket because that one originally aired as a 1-hour episode. The Wallet and the Watch is technically the only episode in the entire series, despite the fact that it's considered two-part episodes. They don't appear as part 1 and part 2, but still good episodes for sure. So of course with The Wallet. The Wallet starts off with Jerry picking up his parents, Morty and Helen, from the airport as they are in town for Morty to see a back specialist that Uncle Leo, knew through a mutual friend. And the back is, of course, problems because of him sleeping on that sofa couch, the same one that Elaine got those back issues back in the Penn episode. But in the car, Jerry's telling his parents about the TV deal, and of course that Mrs. Seinfeld telling Jerry, "I want you to sign that contract." He goes, "Oh, we will. In fact, George is out on a date right now with one of the executives." Believe it or not, though, at the end of the ticket, George was upset because he didn't like the money that they were going to be making off of the pilot deal. They're only giving both Jerry and George, $13,000. To split that $13,000, with each other, which of course would be like $6,500 for a piece. George, of course, does not like that, and he keeps having this Ted Danson obsession. And on the date, he tells Susan that they're passing on the deal, which Susan's surprised, but George is saying this is more of Jerry's, decision, not his, even though they're not on the same page. Jerry is understanding that, yes, we have no experience, so why would they give us a lot of money? We're giving us very little money, which to me kind of covers up, in some ways, I guess, like an alternative, since again the season arc again is the creation of the Jerry Show, which is kind of telling the same story that Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld went through with making a pilot, but of course they had to make some little changes. So obviously they're having George complain about the money and try to make them give them more money, which is why he turned down the deal. Susan said she'll tell Russell on Monday, and then she gives George a thing of Cuban cigars as a present from her father. Meanwhile, of course, Jerry is getting ready to pay for the parking or whatnot, paying his parents, which of course, him and his father are arguing because, Morty wants to pay, but, Jerry's like, no, I got this, and, they're just, going back and forth arguing about it, and, typical stuff. So to get back to the apartment, Kramer comes in, of course, from across the hall and starts talking to Morty, but of course, Mrs. Seinfeld starts noticing Kramer's, bandages on his head, which is from the kick to the head from Crazy Joe Davola, and he explains how it happened, and he goes to a doctor, and it ends up being just a slight concussion. But of course, Mrs. Seinfeld has to ask, whys. And then, of course, first off, he let it slip that Jerry, it's because Jerry had actually told him about this party, which of course, Mrs. Seinfeld's like, why would you tell someone who wasn't invited to the party, which Jerry did not know? And then that's when, of course, Kramer also says that, which was not a good idea to say in front of his parents, that Davola's after him next. And then Mrs. Seinfeld's just like, why? Why would someone not like you? That's ridiculous. I want to know what you did to this guy. Just being very overreactive and overprotective. Then, of course, Morty Seinfeld, he's been riled off about different stuff in the background. He goes, I'll make some phone calls. It's like, well, who are you going to call? Well, anyways, though, I forgot to mention this back in the car. In the car and in the apartment, Jerry was asked what time it is. And both times, Jerry was not wearing his watch. If you remember in the ticket, Jerry threw away a watch that his parents had bought him because it didn't keep time well. It was broken. So Jerry says that it was broken, but he said he took it to Jimmy Sherman's on 85th, whatever street it was called, and he was trying to cover up for the story that with the truth that he had thrown it away. Well, Kramer asked him, he told him the same thing. So Kramer was like, what's taking so long? And then Jerry was trying to take it. So he's like, it's backed up. And then Kramer was like, I'm a good friend of Jimmy's. I can get you probably not watch back tomorrow. He's like, no, I am not going to cause trouble and interrupt the protocol. Same time, Morty is saying, Kramer, give me that bill because he wants to pay for the watch to be fixed. And of course, again, they're just going back and forth again because Jerry's tired of his parents acting like he can't pay for himself. So when Kramer leaves, Jerry follows him and tells him that, hey, don't mention the watch again because he's thrown it away and they keep good time, but he doesn't want his parents to know he threw it away. So there's that. The next day, Morty and Helen go to the doctor's office, which of course first Morty complains about how much they have to fill out and whatnot. So he fills out only a few things, and then obviously showing signs he's being a difficult patient. The doctor's like, oh boy, do you want to take him pretty much? Which you go to commercial break. And the next day, back in Jerry's apartment, Jerry finds out that George passed on the deal. And George starts telling him how, he's negotiating. He's trying to get more money. He's negotiating with them. And then Jerry's like, hello, look what you've done here. They probably talked to 50 different people or a year, or maybe more, who knows, wanting to pitch, wanting to get pilot deals with NBC. They maybe go with 5 if they're lucky. If we pass, that's it. They're going to move on to the next person. And then George is like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. They're not going to do the show. I'm shaking. And then, of course, they get into a little bit of an argument. And obviously, they're going to base it, well, let's see what they say. As, again, Susan's going to say something to Russell regarding that. At the same time, George is also trying to give up his box of cigars, as he tried smoking them, but he got sick. So Kramer takes him. And he goes to, he's getting ready to go find a match when Jerry's doorbell rings. Well, buzzer rings. And he says, yeah, and we hear Federal Express. And he lets him in, which Kramer's like, you really just let like a burglar into the building. So he's not too worried, but then they get upstairs, and he just knocks at the door. Jerry's like, who is it? And we hear again, Federal Express. So Kramer grabs a paper prepared to, swat at whoever's behind that door. Jerry opens the door, and it's Elaine. And everybody goes nuts. The crowd, goes crazy also because this is Elaine's, technically Elaine, even though she was not in the trip, she was in the pitch and the ticket, but in just 2, cutaway scenes of her being on vacation in Europe. As, this is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's full return as she was out on maternity leave. So it was like a big return for them. And also, of course, they had to continue with the fact that, Elaine thought that Kramer went to California, but Kramer says, well, I'm back. And Kramer says, we'll be right back. He's going to get a match to light one of his cigars. So they start catching up. They ask how her trip was and how things are with Dr. Reston. She's like, yeah, they're fine. But she scratched the face. Then she gets a lecture about how, usually whenever they say, yeah, it's fine, they start scratching the face, depending on how high the face is, that means that the relationship's not going so well. In which Elaine mentions how, dating a psychiatrist is tricky. She's tried to break up with him, but, he's got this, mind power on her. Where basically, despite the fact that he's her psychiatrist, he does not think she has a good enough reason to break up with him. Basically, kind of like the one episode, it's in a future episode where George's trying to break up with a girl, but she's like, no, I don't think so, we're not breaking up. So basically, this guy is like holding Elaine hostage, saying like, no, we're not breaking up. George suggests the idea of, why don't you tell her that, you tell the psychiatrist you've met someone else, which he would go on to do eventually. But then Kramer came back in. He still couldn't find a match. While this conversation is going on, he goes over to Jerry's burner and lights his cigar, which his hair catches on fire. And he freaks out like, "Wah!" and runs into the bathroom to wash out his hair. Now, of course, they cut it sooner, but in the blooper reel, Michael Richards knocked the wig off of his head by mistake, which led to a very hilarious blooper, of course, for sure. Meanwhile, back at the doctor's office, first Morty was not being very patient at all. The doctor finally took him after waiting for like 20 minutes or so. And of course, he also asks, like, well, first, we also learned because they brought in the thing to take his blood pressure, and they tried opening it, but of course it makes a Velcro sound. And Morty does not like, like the Velcro tearing sound. And then they tell him he can leave, his jacket in the room while he go do the x-rays. While waiting for the x-rays, though, he realizes that his wallet's gone. He's already complaining because he's had to sign. He's had to fill out all those questions when he signed in. He's complaining because he waited 20 minutes, and now he's upset that his wallet's gone. And basically, he doesn't want to hear the diagnosis for his back. So he leaves without paying. Because he was pissed off. Elaine goes to see Dr. Reston. And, of course, she's trying to, break it up with him often by saying that, there's somebody else. But, of course, Dr. Reston is still, like, just, like, he's, like, still, like, not letting her go. He's like, nope, you're gonna tell me about this man. Nope, you're gonna let me meet this man and whatnot. Like, she can't get past him. She's like, it's not your business, though. Oh, yes, it is. And he just has this, like, smug look on his face, like he just has her in the palm of his hand. Again, no matter what she does, she can't get rid of this guy. And again, he's her psychiatrist, so of course not. So then then Jerry goes out to dinner with his parents, and they're meeting up with Uncle Leo. Which, of course, first Morty's complaining again about his appointment, his doctor's appointment. Uncle Leo comes in, and he's not happy with them either because, he said, did you a personal favor, even though, again, the guy and Uncle Leo didn't know the doctor. He just was just neighbors with the doctor's son. And they argue back and forth about that over, stupid crap. Mrs. Seinfeld, though, notices that Leo is wearing a watch and says, where'd you get that watch from? And then he mentions how he found it in the garbage can, kept terrible time, but he took it to Jimmy Sherman's, got it back the next day, works perfectly. And as he said, what kind of an idiot throws away a perfectly good watch? And everybody starts obsessing over it. Of course, Jerry realized, of course, that it's the watch he threw away. So everybody's like obsessing over it. It's like, wait, this is the same one we got Jerry, and they're checking it out and everything. So Jerry's trying to change the subject, but of course the episode then ends with him saying, can we please continue this another time? Which is very well fitting because to be continued. Of course, we're going to continue on in the next episode where, again, George passed on the pilot deal. What's Dalrymple going to say about him passing on it? Again, how's Jerry going to, get the watch back to, prove to his parents that, to cover up his big lie to his parents? What happened to Morty's wallet? And how is Elaine going to, get Dr. Reston off her back? What to find out next when we talk about the watch. Why did I say it that way? I'll explain next time in the introduction. But we have the wallet here, and then part 2 of this story is the watch, which we'll talk about next time. So guys, what are your thoughts on the wallet? What are your thoughts on the scene of Kramer having his hair catch on fire, which apparently came from a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial idea or something like that? But what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave your thoughts down in the comments section below, and be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel, and follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirBoy93. I'll see you guys in the second part of this episode again, The Watch, and that'll be next. So till then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll see you all later. Have a good night, and peace out, everybody.